In this video, I'll introduce you to the software I developed for my dissertation project. It is a chatbot for the Camden Council, and it is supposed to allow customers to either pay or challenge those contravention tickets that they receive in the area of the Camden Council. As you can see, there's the chatbot, which is down here, and it's deployed on the Azure server. And also, I'm running locally a React application that embeds the chatbot just as a way of showing how the chatbot interacts with the database. So let's type something to start. Now here we are first prompted to insert our credentials, which are the PCN number and the vehicle number. And in the ticket summaries, we can see that we have, for example, this parking ticket, a picture of the contravention. So we can go back and we can select the PCN number and the vehicle number to log in. And then we have a summary in a card format straight from the database. And as you can see, the data is consistent with what we read through this API. And at this point, we can decide to either challenge or make the payment. Okay, we are asked to provide a maximum of 300 word description. And there's a minimum of 50 words as well. So let's say this is a dummy description. And then after submitting, we are asked to attach any supporting file, and this step is not mandatory, so we could say no and everything continues properly. But let's say yes, so that I can show you what the procedure looks like. We can attach up to 5 files, and as you can see, there is a message that says that the limit is exceeded, and so you can try again to upload a new file. And in this case, we will select this other file, and it's properly received. And so now we are asked to enter our personal details. So let's say individual, Mr. Just gonna enter my credentials. And here there's a check to make sure that the email is properly formatted. So if I insert something like this, let's see what happens. First of all, it asks me to fill out all the text fields, and let's just do it. Now that everything is filled out, it asks me to provide a valid email address. Notice that all the fields are prompted again, so that the user is not forced to retype everything in again. So I store temporarily this information to reprompt it to the user and display the error message. And so now let's just update the email. And there's also, of course, a check to make sure that the email and the confirmation email are the same. And now you're almost there. Type in your address. Let's say Victoria Street. Let's say London, and here let's just use a random postcode. Here we have a summary of our challenge, and we can see that the type is for individuals. Then we have our name and last name, our email that we selected, the description that we provided, and the attachments that it's right here. And we can also view the address that we just inserted in the end. And so if everything looks right to us, we can submit the challenge. Or we can choose to pay by just asking the chatbot to pay. And if we say yes, then our dialog will change and we will start the payment procedure. So for now, let's say no. And whenever we type something, back to challenge, we are brought back to the last step before asking the chatbot to pay. So to make the conversation very dynamic. And at this point, we can submit the challenge. And if everything goes right, we receive this message that says that our challenge has been successfully submitted. And if we refresh the page, we can see that here now it says challenged, and if we check the challenge summary section, we can see that the picture is here, and if one wants to see it better, they can just save it or open it in a new tab and see that this is the picture that we uploaded right now. And so let's approve it. Let's show now how the payment procedure works. So again, let's type a message to the chatbot. Then we can go with the second. Here we have our summary again, and this time let's click on make payment. We are prompted with this card, and we can confirm that we want to pay our contravention. Then the process is handled by Microsoft in the second stage, and so we can simply click over pay. I can log in with my account, and I can pay. This is a dummy CVV number because I am in test mode, so the payment is not actually going through because it's not checking the CVV. So the payment was sent, everything went alright, and so if we go back to the chat, now we can see that there's a receipt that is possible to save locally, and there's a thank you message, and that's the end for the payment procedure. Now there are a couple of interesting things to make the chatbot more dynamic, and it relies on the usage of machine learning models for the understanding of natural language. For example, if we start our conversation again and we ask the chatbot to pay now, then there's a natural language model that understands this input and redirects us to the right intent. And so let's say that we want to pay now. In this case, there's a check because we first need to log in. And so as we continue typing something, then we are asked to log in, and after we log in, then we can proceed with the payment. Another feature is that it's possible to ask for help to the chatbot, and there's an explanation of what the chatbot does, and whenever you continue, then it always prompts the very last message you were left at. And finally, you can ask the chat to leave, and if you select yes, then the conversation is over. And by typing hi or whatever message, there's a new conversation that starts. If we refresh, we can see that this challenge was paid. And here we approve this, and there's also a chance to roll this back if a decision needs to be changed. And now it's here, and we can, for example, reject it, and then we'll find it down here. This web app works with this API server that takes the parameters in the URL and performs the right operations. And I'm using just a couple of methods that query the database because everything is highly dynamic. So I can just pass in the parameters everything that I need to look for or that I need to update, and I can do that dynamically with these two methods, one to find and one to update. And both methods emit events that the client is listening to so that the values are updated without the need of refreshing the web page. And with this, I'm gonna add a demonstration video of my dissertation project.